Hello, everyone. Welcome back for episode number 15 of the Ready Set Shag podcast. This has been a very tough episode to get out because my IRL shenanigans have been keeping me at bay from doing what I love most. And so we went through a couple of guests, and I was able to talk with my guest today, who I like to consider a friend. I've talked to him for quite a while now, and we've played games together. We've had many long discussions. He's been on my podcast a couple of times. The uh, the midweek hump, which you guys know. Well, without further ado, let's just bring him on here. Adam Crigler, what's going on, brother?
I got to say that was a little presumptuous to just
I,
consider me a friend.
I,
Wow.
I,
I acquaintance, sure, maybe, but geez,
I know. I went.
I got to meet someone in real life before I make the change from a online acquaintance to friend.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's no issue though.
That's fair. That's fair. We got to embrace at least one time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
no, I agree. Yeah, that's
I
it.
need
Was
a
maybe
Shagsworthy hug.
yeah.
See what I
We'll
did
get
there?
yes, we'll get there soon. I was jealous that because you just got back from London for the
Yeah.
FNT UK meetup. How was that?
Oh, dude, it was fantastic. I had such a great time. I've never been to a meetup before, so this was the first time just being amongst a bunch of people that really enjoy my content. And I got a lot of people asking me to do the daily show again, bring the clips back. A lot of people were asking me to do stuff that I was thinking maybe I should do again, but it kind of confirmation like I got to get my ass back in gear and do a daily show again and start doing more content.
Yeah, I heard I think you had mentioned it real quick. I don't even know. It may have been on Base Staff or something like that about getting back to your daily show. Is that something that it's in serious consideration now?
No, it's happening. I'm gonna starting essentially yesterday, although it's based off Monday anyway. But
Mm.
I will be going live Monday through Friday again, my regular scheduled time, and it's gonna be great. Fridays will be a little different because I'm gonna be doing music, but I really would like to build my locals. So my music side, like the Friday night jams, will be over on locals. So I'll do my
Mm.
regular stream, cut over to go to locals, just for a couple jams every Friday night. Yeah,
Nice. Now
yeah,
it's funny because you said this is your first time going to one of those meetups. You've been somewhat of a popular public figure for quite a while. Is that like
I guess
it's
so.
it's surprising that it's your first like meetup. What is it intentional, or are you generally kind of a loner? Uh,
No,
why?
well, Tim didn't want to do a meetup because I mean, people probably want Tim just gone, for lack of wanting to say it on YouTube. But Antifa, he's got a target on his back from
Right.
them, so he never wanted to do a meetup. And honestly, I don't really blame him because
Yeah.
he's been in the game a lot longer than I have, and so that never came about. I think he tried to do a meetup, and then someone like there was like a bomb threat on the building or some shit, and I
Wow.
don't know. It just never ended up going to fruition. So and then after I left that area, like left his employ, I moved to Sweden. So it was kind of like I was just trying to do set my life up here and figure things out for me before I was even able to like do a meetup, right? So
Right.
I don't know. And then I wasn't necessarily part of anything. I was just kind of solo, sailing out into the YouTube waters
Yeah.
by myself. I do feel like I've found a fellowship in the Legion of Memers, Nerdrotic, the Geeks and Gamers, like a lot of the different people in this YouTube space have embraced me, and it feels great, and your squad, it's the midweek hump, like it's just great. I really feel like they welcomed me with open arms because I kind of came out of nowhere, like no one knew who I was in this YouTube world. Certainly in some spaces, like the modeling world, and the skateboarding world. I kind of made something of myself in those careers. But as far as like the YouTubing space, I'm kind of a newcomer in this world. So, well, I guess not anymore. It's been over 3 years, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what when you go from newcomer to like established to veteran. I feel like I'm getting established now.
Yeah. Well, I was always curious about that because I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about your like essentially your transition from model skateboarder to like your work, I guess, with Tim. What did you
Mm.
guys kind of connect because of skateboarding, and then you just started like your chums that way, and then it just like the rest is history? Can you talk a little bit
No.
about that?
Yeah, sure. I didn't actually know Tim through skateboarding, even though he is an incredible skateboarder. He really is. Like, dude, he's got some insane skills.
Mhm.
Um, we met in a Magic the Gathering store randomly in Brooklyn. I worked at a shop in Brooklyn painting boards, Bustin Boards, a New York longboarding company, and it was like right in the middle of this block in Brooklyn, and then down at the end of the block was a Magic store that I would frequent. I didn't play Magic a lot until I started in '94, so I've been playing my whole life essentially,
Yeah.
or I started when I was 10. But I don't know, it was just one of those days where I was heading back home, and if you go over the Brooklyn Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge, which is how I took to go home, I would skate home because I
Mhm.
skated everywhere. It was basically my car, right? So I
Yeah.
got over the bridge and I like, I'll stop by the magic shop, maybe like see what's over there. And I like roll in, and it was a Dungeons and Dragons night. So it wasn't, no one was in there playing magic. And I like rolled up to the counter and I was like, hey, so you got any magic events going? And they're like, no, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And I hear, oh, you play magic? And I like turn and it's Tim, just standing there because he had same thing for him. He walked in and was just like trying to see what magic was going on. And since it was D&D, it was like him and I were the only 2 people in the store besides the employees that, like, cared about magic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he was just like, "Oh, yeah," we ended up going and playing Commander at my apartment that same night, and yeah, that was just, that's how we met.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, makes it's a good case to make for people who like, to touch grass, as they say, because I think that's one thing that's missing is one of the beauties of the world before the modern internet is
Mhm.
that you would have to, you got to go to the store, you got to go to the card shop, the hobby shop, see what
True.
the guys are playing or who's around. And you just like now, well, you don't have to do that. You get Tabletop Simulator on Steam, and you get in a virtual room, or you know,
Yeah.
eh, and it's and had you not done that, had you said, "Oh, I'm just going to go home today," like you and your life would have forever been different. You never would have connected with him. Um,
True. My life has a way of doing that, though. I'm the luckiest person I know. I know that's a weird phrase, but I really am. I am so lucky in my life. Like the opportunities that have arisen for me, and the things that I've been able to do in my life, and the places I've seen and I was able to go, and not only just go, but get paid to go to these incredible places. Like I've been flown to a glacier in the middle of Alaska, just for a shot of snow for American Eagle, for a winter campaign, but it was June, but they wanted snow, so, like, "Well, we gotta go to Alaska where there's snow on a glacier." It's like, this amazing, I got paid for that, and it was just the amount of things like, those kind of stories are endless. Like, I have so many different stories of different beautiful places that I got to go to just because, the way I look, like,
yeah,
that's insane. Like, that alone is insanely lucky. I feel, like, there's nothing else that could explain it. It's not necessarily talent, although, there is some, yeah, like, modeling isn't just like, let someone take pictures of you, but it's kinda like 50-50. You have to have the look, but you also have to have, like, a comfortableness in front of the camera and the ability to not look weird. Because there's some
yeah,
beautiful people out there that it just doesn't transfer when you
yeah,
take a picture of them. But if you see them
mhm,
in real life, it's like, "Holy shit, that person's smoking." But you
yeah,
take a picture and they look like a freaking alien.
yeah.
So
It's
I
funny you
lucked
mentioned
out.
that. My like the how some certain people are photogenic, and it just kind of
Mhm.
comes naturally to them because my 2 kids, my older boy, both my kids are beautiful, but my older boy is when he smiles, it's very awkward, like, he almost like every smile is very forced,
Okay.
um, like it's hard to get a good smiling picture of him. It has to be like you can't really plan it. But my younger boy, like it just comes. Like he
Yeah.
could be like a kid model because he just smiles and it's all natural. The muscles just go perfect. It's kind of strange to say, but I think you know what I'm talking about because you're,
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And confidence too. So that I could see if someone's confident in a picture. Like I could tell by the way that they're carrying themselves. So the way that I don't know. Some people it's not as obvious because like everyone's face is different and their facial structure and the way that they hold themselves, but it's
Mhm.
pretty obvious when someone isn't confident or comfortable in front of a camera. When the camera turns on, it changes, and that's why I think I fit really comfortably doing this, what I'm doing now because I see a camera and I'm like, I've been doing this for freaking since I was 19. That's 20 years ago. So I've been in front of a camera professionally for 20 years.
Yeah.
And what's the difference now? I just talk about my opinions. It makes it even easier.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not easier. I feel like it's the same level because I don't change for the camera, and part of what makes modeling, a good model or a model a good model is the ability to be candid. You
Mhm.
like, you even just said it with your older boy, if you catch him when he's not like, "I'm smiling for the camera," but he's, like, laughing, like, mid-laugh or, you catch it candidly, the ability to maintain that candidness when you know the camera and you're forcing that candidness, and, I was very good at that because I would talk to people, I would make fun of them, I would poke fun at myself and, like, crack jokes, and we'd be laughing and smiling, and, like, I would get people to forget that the camera's there because oftentimes you'd work with other models and, like, get a group shot or whatever,
Mhm.
so but yeah.
Well,
There's good money in kid modeling, by the way. If you can get them in, like, I was gonna say Sears, I don't even think Sears is around anymore, but J.C.
yeah.
Penney's or, like, any of those kinda things, dude, get them into catalog work, crazy money, man. It's really
I
good
know
money.
it's funny because I've, in our space and nowadays, and something we could probably get into is,
Mhm.
there's all this talk of, exploiting children in one way or another. And
True.
part of me, and because I've had my older boy on live streams, like him and I have been playing Mario,
Cool.
like together, and like some of the newer ones. And I've had people comment and say like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. Like that's not good," or "Don't post pictures of your kids." I'm like,
That
I
playing
guess
games with them live, like, that's weird.
I
No,
know.
I would say, like, beauty pageant shit is weird. Like,
Yeah.
people and that's the funniest thing, like, when I, because 'cause I'm now known as, like, a conservative, which I don't even think I am a conservative, I think I'm more, like, libertarian, right
Yeah.
right, that's where I feel like I line with politically or whatever.
Same.
But
Yeah.
I'm very much against child exploitation.
Mhm.
I speak out against it constantly. Diana, you watch my show, she's in chat. How you doing, by the way? And the left wing, whenever I say anything against it, they instantly like post pictures of like John Benet Ramsey, or that's the only she's like the only famous one I know, but like
Right.
pictures of like mothers sending their daughters, and the daughters are like wearing dresses with like pounds of makeup, and I'm like, why would you just instantly assume I'm okay with that? Like,
Yeah.
that's weird. But, like,
Yep.
a picture of, in a Sears catalog where the kid is it's weird. It is kinda it does feel almost exploitative, but if the kid is being treated well, they get paid insane amounts. Like, "Hey, I could buy you, like, 4 PlayStations
Right.
and or your own TV or whatever. You when you turn 16, you're gonna be able to buy your car outright for yourself because of this job." Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's I don't feel like it's the same as, like, parading them around in front of a bunch of adults to try to get them to sell, or I don't even know, like, whatever those beauty pageants are freaking gross, but,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's different than trying to sell clothes at like, a J.C. Penney's. This feels like, "Okay, and?" it's modeling.
Yeah.
They're not
And
naked. It's
this is
not
true.
sexual.
Yeah. And you're probably right. It's just one of those things that I've thought about because and my wife and I've talked about it is
Mhm.
like is it a little weird? And I've had random conversations even recently about, how right and wrong it is to have pictures of my kids around. Like if they come into a live stream, like I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not exploiting them. I'm not using them to make money, necessarily. Like, I mean, at all, really. I mean, the live stream with him playing Mario was more for his enjoyment. And then I just thought, oh, this would be kind of fun for people to watch, like a dad and son, play Mario. And there's a couple of funny clips that actually came from it. But,
Yeah.
I do in my head somewhere, there's like this, is it the same? No, probably not. But I am
No,
conscious of it.
and even still, like there's parents that would send their kids to do these modeling gigs for JCPenney and buy themselves stuff. And like
Yeah.
that's fucked up, right? But like
Right.
the way I would do it is if like my teenage, like I don't know, 13-year-old got a job for JCPenney's, I'd be like, all right, dope. Like you just earned a $2,000. It's gonna go into your bank account. And
Right.
what do you want to buy? Like I'm
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. It's like it's the same as like acting. Like, okay, so kids shouldn't act. Like it's
Right.
kind of I feel like it's more along the same lines of stuff. Like if the kids are cool with it, like I'm not it wouldn't be forcing them. Like I've done these catalog jobs where I'd showed up and like the mom is with their kid who's there doing like the kid clothes, whatever. The
Mhm.
kids are cool with it. They're like, yeah, this is dope. Like
Right.
I'm getting paid freaking $2,000 in one day to get my picture taken of an outfit or like
Yeah.
20 outfits or whatever it is. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get to go buy whatever I want. Like that's awesome. Like a kid, dude, kids freak out about a $20 bill. They can't even comprehend what $2,000 is. Of course, adjusted for this inflation, I mean, it's basically like practically nothing. But
My kids freak out over quarters and dollars, so I would
right,
imagine
exactly.
2000 would be like, oh my gosh.
They can't comprehend it. They have no idea, right?
Right. I want to go back real quick. So
Sure.
at the time of meeting Tim for the first time, were you aware of who he was, or were you just kind of like, oh,
No idea.
like no idea? It was just a chance
Zero
meeting.
clue.
Huh?
Yeah, I didn't know who Tim was. Right when I met him, I believe he was working at Vice. It was like he was like having a fallout with Vice at that time. Um, and I don't know, I saw some video with like on that like he said that Vice told him he was too white or some shit. I've never heard that in my life, dude.
Wow.
And if that was true, he would have been talking about that for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he pulled that shit out of his asshole. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no idea who he was, and I didn't really care. Like he seemed pretty cool. I think it was probably nice for him to like hang out with a bunch of people who didn't know who he was, just play Magic.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's rare for him nowadays. I think he misses that kind of because I never treated him different.
Yeah.
I never treated him like Tim Pool. It was like, we're on the same level. Like I want everyone to that's we all are humans, right? There's no
Yeah.
pedestal. No one should be on a pedestal, right? So
Right.
I don't know. I never put him up there, and I think he appreciated that when we hung out. That's how I always treated him. So
I'm
I think once I have kids, they'll be the first humans that I'll put up on a pedestal. Be like, yep, my kids are better than yours, better than everyone else.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
I
know what
think
it's
that's
like yet, but
yeah.
you have kids. Is that how it is?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's such a balancing act with children. Like you realize real quick, like everything you've ever said about having kids is like you're like, oh, I have no clue anymore. Like we all talk about it now, right? But oh, I would do this and I would do that, and then you get in that situation, and you're like, oh my god, like my kid just hit another kid. Like, what do I do? Like, I want to defend my kid, but was he the one that started this all? Like, but yeah, you really do have to put them, at least for
Mhm.
me, it's like one of the highest levels of like in my life. I've since so that's how my initial approach was. Now I've actually kind of changed a little bit after talking to my mom quite a bit. I actually started putting my wife above the kids, and that might seem weird, but the 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 idea behind that is you're always going to be with your spouse, theoretically, right? Your kids are eventually going to outgrow your home and they're going to go away. So if you put every amount of energy into your kids and put them at the highest levels, you forget who your spouse is, because all you've done is put your, so the idea is you put them above your kids, your spouse above your kids, and they see the bond and connection and love that you have for one another, and that's one of the most important lessons. And then that trickles down to them, and in developing relationships of their own.
Yeah.
It's a, like I said, parenting is one of the things that, because every kid is different, it's really hard. You're just learning on the fly constantly. But
I can't wait.
yeah, man, it's a journey. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. You think you have adversity now with things like, you bring another human life that you have to care for. It's like being, I don't know if you ever played baseball, but it's like being caught on your back foot on a curveball, like constantly. Like all you're doing is like, it's like the worst curveball you've ever been thrown, and you're just practicing hitting that to the opposite field every time. That's what it feels like being a parent, or a new parent anyway.
Yeah.
But no, and I think you said something I think important, like treating people as humans. Like, you never put Tim up on this like pedestal. I think that's one of the issues I have a lot of times, and I find myself, like, when I say to you, like in the beginning, like, oh, I consider you a friend, it's because I think of people that way. Like, those who are friendly to me and who have given me respect, and we have this mutual respect for one another, and we've done our shows and played games. I just think, at the end of the day, if you called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Shag, I'm in Salt Lake, can I, do you want to meet up, or do you have a place to stay, or if my car broke down, Adam, absolutely, please come." Like, that's where I'm at with a lot of people, and most people in the fellowship, is because they've shown me, even if I haven't necessarily met them in person, that they're good, upstanding, trustworthy people, and they stick by what they say. So to that end, like, friends, and that might be to my detriment to a bit, being presumptuous and whatnot, but that's just how I think of people.
I was totally joking. Like, I absolutely, I 100% agree with what you're saying. So while I was in London, right, I was surrounded by these people that have established themselves in this community, in this YouTubing realm, and the idea of authenticity is the new currency in this world, rang throughout the entire trip, because that's really the truth of it. Like, all these people that are being successful and are getting the due, or the respect that is due to that, not due, but that they've earned, right? I mean, respect is earned. And when you're authentic and you're your true self, people recognize that. And that's what you're recognizing. And I know you said it's like to your detriment, but like, I think I think it's worth risking being wrong on that front, right? I think that if you ended up in Sweden somehow, I know that's a little more far fetched than me being in Salt Lake, but it'd be the same kind of vibe, I'd be like, "Yeah, I got a guest bedroom. Like, come
Yeah,
on down, dog,
yeah,
bring your family. It's good." Um, and I met, like, being at the meetup, right? I met so many people that just came up to me and were like, "Really appreciate what you're doing." And then seeing them post online, a lot of them were like, "Man, you really felt like you were having like the same." I saw a lot of people commenting like, I met you and you were the funny, laughing, sarcastic wise ass that you portray yourself. Although I don't portray myself, that's literally who I am, right? And they were
yeah,
like almost surprised that that it got the same vibe from me, because like, this is me. I feel like it'd be exhausting to try to change, or to try to like be something you're not online. Eventually, that would kind of, I don't know, crack. You could tell. It's like that would crack. Like, it would be exhausting. It would be, eventually the crowd would notice it. They'd be like,
yeah,
"All right, yeah, what was that? That's not real. Like, you're bullshitting us." And then
yeah,
you lose your audience. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do this if I couldn't be me, right? I couldn't if I couldn't speak. That's part of the reason why I don't think I'm on the Timcast show anymore, because I was. Did you watch my? my expose on like why I left the Timcast show, or like
It was
it
a
was
long
6
stream. Yeah.
well, it was 6 hours, but like 4 of the 4 hours were all just super chats. So it was just the first 2 hours that I like explained myself, but
Yes, I
I
did
think
watch most.
so the reason I left is because I was trying to work out my own guilt with abortion, and Lydia triggered me on multiple levels because I don't like her, and she was I don't like hypocrites, and she's a really big hypocrite, and I don't like people who act high and mighty. I'm very opinionated, and I'm proud of my opinions, and I die on the hills that I stand on, but I never claim to be morally superior to others. And I don't know. I don't like that energy and just the way that she is. I don't know. So, but I was working it out, and I was trying to work it out with her. And Tim basically said I'm not allowed to like say shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no, if I can't like speak my mind, I'm out, And he's like, all right, fine, you're out. Peace. So it's kind of fucked up. It's like, dude, Tim, you want free speech. You talk about the golden handcuffs that Vice put you in, and yet I'm not allowed to speak my mind about this freaking Instagram slut that slid into your DMs. Probably freaking slid into a lot that you probably slid into just because. Anyway, I don't know. I don't want to talk about Tim like that, but kind of over it. And like I've talked about Tim a lot, and every time I mention him, even if it's like a positive comment, people love to get the idea that I'm resentful of Tim, and it's like I'm not. I love my life. I love where I'm at. I love the person I am, and I respect the opportunity it gave me. And, you know, all those people forget that I also helped make the Timcast IRL show. Like I was also a part of it. And like we
Yep.
had something together, and it wasn't just Tim. And it's like, yeah, sure. My life would have been completely different if I hadn't met him, but who knows how different? I don't know. Like, I don't it doesn't matter, because here I am, and I love
Right.
who I am, and I love the crew that I have, and the circles that I'm in, and the chat that supports me, so, yeah.
Well, I've realized too that like from watching you grow and you become your own independent outlet is that
Mhm.
if you can't be yourself, then what's the point? Like I'll make mistakes and I'll say things that, you know, might make people, on edge or they don't like, but if I can't make those comments, then who am I, right? And
Mm.
and then in a lot of ways, had you not had things gone a bit differently, had he not said, "Okay, you're out," you would still be sitting there, and maybe you'd be biting your tongue because, oh, it's a good paycheck, But
It
would
was.
that be who you are? Like would you really like if you had gone a little bit further, maybe you would have censored yourself a little bit more just to keep it going, but you
Mm.
you probably got to a point where I mean, I think you said okay, I'm out, but you didn't necessarily mean like I want to get out of here. Like it almost like he took it the step further and was just kind of
Oh,
abandoned that.
he definitely didn't wanna pay me my cut. I wasn't getting as big of a cut as him, but he was putting the money back into the company. So like at the end of the day, it looked like I was getting paid more than him because I wasn't putting money into the company. He was,
Mhm.
which that's his choice. It's his company, and like I don't blame him. Like, yeah, of course you wanna do that, but said still he's the one who chose like what he wanted to give me. So I don't know. It just feels like he just used it as an excuse. Be like, yeah, I don't I this is perfect. Like you just gave me an ultimatum, and it's like it wasn't necessarily. I said if I can't speak my mind, I'll happily walk. That wasn't me saying like fire Lydia or I'm gone. It was like, I mean, is that an ultimatum when I'm saying if I can't speak my mind, I'll happily walk? It's kind of like saying like you need to practice what you preach. And I'm like, I'm the one who's now saying like you're the one who preaches standing up to your boss. It was in the midst of COVID, and they were that high and mighty energy that they both Tim and Lydia project was like standing up to your boss and not taking the jab, right?
Yeah.
Or like whatever the hell you want to do, and they were acting like that. Like, yeah, just stand up to your boss. Who cares if you get fired? Like, blah blah blah. You need to like stand up. And I was like, all right, well, hey, I'm just trying to like work some issue out, both my own internal shit and that I can't stand Lydia. So let me work this out.
Yeah.
No, or well, then I got fired.
Well, not for nothing too, but I'm sure, at least this is how I approach things. When you're in business with someone or you're employed or with someone for, however long, I mean, you're
Yeah,
building a brand with them. You would think
true.
that even with something like that, it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I'm taking this hardline stance and it's either me or the highway. It's like, dude, I'm just kind of fed up with what's happening. So let's
Yeah.
talk about it because now it's serious. And I'd almost, and like you said, for all the stuff that Tim talked about, like having the golden handcuffs on or whatever, you would think at this point this is where he needs to again put his money where his mouth is, and just be nice hat. Oh, you saw that the chat. Nice.
Wait, little more. I'm listening to you though.
No, it's a bummer because it kind of exposes him for like who he is really. Um, and that's too bad. That's awesome.
That's for you, pessimistic. Wait,
For
I don't
those who
even know.
can't see, Adam is fitting his head directly into the frame and lining it up with the background image. It's pretty funny.
Okay. Sorry.
um, no, it's too bad. I mean, I'm really happy for you though, Adam, for where you are, because you wouldn't like we wouldn't be having this conversation had things gone a different way. And that's so to that end, I'm truly thankful. But it obviously it puts people on a path that they may otherwise not have like been able to recover from. Like you are someone I think who has been tested throughout your life and have overcome, some levels of adversity and your challenges. And this
Mhm.
this was no different. And then having to start off, I mean, you being true and authentic to who you are, I think brought over every single person that, remains with you. I'm sure there's a lot of your audience who watched you on Timcast. And then you've held those people because you were authentic, you were true to what you believed, and you didn't back down when you needed to, or when you could
True.
have, rather. Sorry. Um,
Yeah, I could have a cushy ass job working for Tim still. Like he offered me even more money to do something different, and I still would have had to sign like my life away to him, and I wasn't going to do that. It was like an NDA mixed with a I own everything you do, and it's like fuck that. I don't need that money. Like I'm good. Like I'm not making a lot of money right now. I'm not like I'm not rolling in the money. It's I gotta figure life out, but it's like I don't care. I like life is worth working for, and it's like you gotta work for life. And I think that a lot of people don't want to work for life, and that's a shame. Like I don't mind working. I don't mind having life be tough. Um, but I'm not gonna take money just to be a pool boy.
oh
So
boy, I like that.
yeah,
um,
basically.
yeah, no, it's true, and I mean that's having control over what you do, and I think maybe in some regards, if I had an opinion on the matter, that's where I think Tim went wrong. I know that he, you got to protect your business and whatnot, but like
Yeah, sure.
you
Yeah,
can't,
I wanted him to have an NDA, but not for me because of
right,
Lydia. Like Lydia
right,
could have like dude, she could have freaking dragged him through the mud if she claimed that he was like abusing his power as her boss and like making sexual shit because I know they were fucking around. So like, dude, like she could have ruined him, man. She could have thrown him under the bus. But like then she signed the NDA and it was like, all right, cool. but, like, I didn't sign it, and I wanted to eventually tell everyone what happened, and I did, I had that episode, and I didn't make any money from it. It's demonetized. I can't monetize it at all because I rickrolled everyone in the very beginning, but it was worth it. Like, I didn't do that video for money. I did it so that people know why, because I was sick of people coming up to me and saying, like, either, "Oh, you like, how dare you leave?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't leave. Tim removed me from the show.
Hmm.
Um, ho or why are you so resentful?" And it's like, it's not that I'm resentful. I miss the camaraderie/friendship slash friendship that Tim and I had. It wasn't necessarily that, that I'm, like, mad at Tim. It's like, no, it's sadness. Like,
Yeah.
we were like, I've said it multiple times, like, half of me misses him, half of me can't stand him. Like, the narcissistic side of him is shit. But,
Yeah.
like, the animal loving, skateboarding, uh, Chicago Chicagoan in him is cool. Like, Tim is funny. He's very good at his job, but he's kind of a freaking, jackass narcissist that I just can't stand that
Yeah.
energy. So, like, whatever. But he's a Pisces, the two fish. One fish is cool. One fish is black, the other one's white. There's like polar opposites.
Hmm.
So,
Do you, I think that's one thing I really like about the whole situation is like through all of the discourse surrounding it, everything that you've said in commenting on your time there and then leaving, you
mhm,
always find a way to like to say, Tim, you'll sing his praises to some extent, which I think is something, you know, we as a society have kind of lost out on is being critical of people, especially when it's necessary, but also recognizing like this person is a hardworking individual and they've earned everything that they've gotten, but
mhm,
there's some serious flaws in that, and this is what it is, and for nothing else, it was your tell all of like what had happened, so people understood like what you were going through in that whole thing. So I
right.
have to say a tremendous amount of respect for doing that because I think every single time that you've talked about it, you've said that it wasn't like a one-off, like, oh, Tim's a cool dude, but f him this, f him that, and but you always spend at least some time explaining, why you think he is a good guy. And I think maybe in when your side scrollers interview, I don't know if you had said this, but I thought you had said you may one day consider doing something with him again, or there was a time when there was like some serious consideration, which I thought was
Yeah,
really
there
cool of you.
was. There was, until he slapped that NDA in my face,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I wasn't gonna sign that. There's no way. I'm not gonna the only way that Tim and I would ever work again together is if we both were equal on all fronts, and he's never gonna do that. So, I mean, that'll just never happen, So, um, yeah, nuance is gone, dude. No one understands how to understand the nuance of reality. Everyone wants to pick a side and vilify you if you're not on that side, or if you don't agree with them 100%. It's like that's so childish. I'm sick of that energy, and there's so much of it out there. Like, whose side are you on? Oh, you're not on my side, then you're a Nazi. And it's like, what? What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like,
Right.
that's ridiculous. Like, oh man, there's way too many examples. I don't even feel like I need to give any examples. I feel like everyone who listens to that knows exactly what I'm talking about. Civil
Yeah.
discourse is non-existent. Like, you can't have a conversation, and this is one of the reasons why I really like Craig. He's got, like, he brought DSP and Keemstar together in our interview, and it was like the internet was like, holy shit, Keemstar and DSP are in the same podcast right now. Like, that was insane. And he brought in what the fuck is that guy's name?
Vito.
It's just Vito. Yeah, he brought Vito on with, like, this whole shit with Eric July. Like, I would've it would've been, like, game breaking if he got Eric July to come in and at the same time as Vito. I think Vito would have gotten destroyed,
Yeah.
because Eric July is a freaking beast.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna be on Eric July's bad side, dude, like,
Nope.
but you could tell, Craig wants to bring back civil discourse in a way where it's like, we're all not that different, but, like, the way that the media and the internet portrays us, it's like, Oh, no, 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 we're all completely different, black and white, and different ends of the spectrum. Y'all over there, unless you believe us, then you're all the way over here, and there's no
Hmm.
one in the middle, and if you're in the middle, then well, it's like from whatever extreme you're standing, it just looks like everyone's on the other side, and that's sad. I think that's really it's a sad case.
Yeah, I actually praised Craig yesterday because I was on there with them, and
Mm.
I don't think I said it on air, but I said it off air. I said, I respect you for bringing Vito on, even when the chat said no, because I think people are missing the point. And what I think the assumption is that everybody has all the information all the time, and
Yeah,
like, well,
good
what do you
point.
mean you don't know? You don't know what Vito did? You don't know what he? And it's like, well, no, because I can't possibly consume all of that information. So,
Right,
and it's then there's nothing wrong with like I do not like I totally reject the idea that you shouldn't platform someone just because they said something. It's like, well, how could you possibly know what this person is if someone's constantly on a panel show trying to talk over other people? Um,
right.
and like even if it was just him and Eric July, like it would be a total bickering back and forth. Like let him talk. If he makes an ass of himself, that's on him, not on Craig, like or whoever is doing the interview, because I might want to know information, or maybe I'll get some information from somebody when they're not on people, a show with like 1,000 different people going against them.
Right.
And it's something that, I've even done recently. So the pronoun stuff with Starfield, I've had several comments and I've done a couple streams talking about why I think people are overreacting to the Starfield drama. And I've tried to back up why I think like incrementalism doesn't work in this particular sense. I understand that that's a hard position to take in our field because, or in this community, because people, and I've tried to explain, I more than anyone am against progressive gender ideology. I don't want that shit in schools, but
Yeah.
we're not talking about schools now. We're talking about a video game. So it's hard. Like you said, nuances can be lost, and allowing someone to give their points on why they think that is difficult for people because they've been programmed by their side in some respect to
Yeah.
to when that bell rings, they need to salivate. They need to, they hear pronouns, they go headlong into it, and they have to, pedo or, or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
I don't agree with you as far as the pronoun stuff because as so it all started with the as rant. I right?
Yeah.
That was like the match on the powder keg.
Mhm.
So as he mentions pronouns, but he also talks about gender ambiguity and like how prevalent that was in the game. And he wasn't
Mhm.
just like at the menu screen. He was already at the time of that rant, he was 7 hours into the game.
Yeah.
Right. And he continued playing. He was at like 20 hours where he was like, yeah, it's like, it's not just the very beginning. It's throughout many different relationships and conversations with different NPCs and all this stuff about how gender, the topic of gender, even makes such a strong headline into so many different conversations. It wasn't about the pronouns, and like
Mhm.
if it was only pronouns, I get it. Like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, not that big of a deal.
Right.
Although I don't like that they were there. I feel like it's unnecessary. I also think it's hilarious that the people who chose they them still got gendered. So, like,
Yeah.
Bethesda added it for no reason. It didn't actually they didn't code it in to actually change what you chose. So,
Yeah.
it proves that they only added it as a way to appease these people. Because if
Right.
they actually are doing it as something that, like, if you are a they them and aren't a she, her, he, whatever the fuck, then they would program it in, just like if they choose they them, replace all she and her with they them. Like, you think that they would be able to do that, but they didn't do that. So it wasn't even about actually making it thematically correct. Like, I don't know what for the entire playthrough. It was
Yeah.
just for that beginning, just to like throw it out there. You're like, yeah, we've got pronouns.
Right.
It seems a little silly
No,
because it
and
wasn't actually there for any other reason than just to show you that they exist.
right. And that's and I it's funny because like throughout this, like I agree with a lot of people. Like I don't blame Az for being mad, and I don't blame Dan for supporting him and saying his own things. Like I think I do think to some extent it's a bit heavy-handed at this point. Um, I think one of the things I was thinking, well, what I've said is we've we've in a lot of ways lost the pronoun battle, which like and
No,
this is
I
where,
disagree. No, I
well,
disagree with that.
I mean like in where they appear, right? Like the preferred pronouns, like they're probably going to be here because they've been here for a couple years now. My
But they've
my
never
my
been
thing was,
accepted.
what's that?
They're not accepted though.
Well, no, and I think
Preferred
the
pronouns is just the other side of the coin of compelled speech. It's the same thing. Michigan tried to pass in that law that if you misgender someone in an intimidating way, whatever the fuck that means,
yep.
that's a vague, he said she said kind of vibe. It's a felony, right?
No, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's insane. But like
Mhm.
that's where they're going with this. So it's like it's not it's a slippery slope that we're sliding really quickly down,
Well,
right?
I guess yeah, no, and I guess my point is like compelled speech where it is, like I'm 100% against it. Like what I'm fighting, I'd fight as hard as I can, and like even being involved in whatever school board meetings I can be in with schools, like that's where I want to be. And I think that was my point, was like that's where we gotta understand like what compelled speech is, because in my opinion, on Starfield, we're not seeing compelled speech. We're seeing their woke politics in the game, which again, we can all have the opinion that that's bad. Um, but the war, I guess, is where I'm at. Is that the war is in our school systems?
Agreed.
It's in these states that are trying to pass the compelled speech laws. In
Mhm.
California, it just passed the House and it was going to Newsom's desk to be signed into law. Like that. That's the kind of battles I want to fight. I don't necessarily want to waste time, because at the end of the day, I don't want to waste time in Starfield, because at the end of the day, I've played, I think, 25 hours of Starfield now. Um, and like a lot of people on my list have played well over 20 hours. So the game is fun. Like the game loop is essentially fun. There's a good base of a Bethesda game there. We should be able to enjoy games, but I want people to have that opinion, because you got to have the discourse, but you also have the other side where I think we're fighting the wrong battle in a game. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from there?
Oh yeah, I definitely understand, and but hearing about Az and like I've watched some of his playthroughs and I know that if I started playing Starfield, I would get taken out and I wouldn't be able to like sink into like when I think about Skyrim, I don't think there's any point where they talk about gender at all. Like
Yeah,
there's no gender ideology anywhere in that entire game, and I could
true.
thoroughly sink into that game and become a freaking spell singing dragon uh born, whatever.
Right.
But when I see a little bit every time I pop into Starfield, it's like it's a conversation that has to do with gender. And I know that's not like I'm sure it's not as prevalent as they might make it seem, but for some reason, whenever I popped into Az's stream, he was groaning over a conversation that he was having with some random thing about this exact shit. And it's like, that's what he was talking about, current daying us, like current
Yeah.
day. And it's like, it is boring. It doesn't allow you to get lost in Starfield, which I in first, I would have loved to play Starfield because I love Bethesda games from all the way back from Morrowind. I played every single Bethesda game that's come out, and I've loved them all. They're all fantastic. Fallout's, the Elder Scrolls, like I love these games. So Starfield, on paper, this is like the perfect game for me. I love space, and
Yeah.
I freaking love space. You get to make your own starship and explore different worlds in a Bethesda style RPG. Like fuck yeah, that sounds amazing. But
Yeah.
something about it now, and it's not the pronouns. Like that's what the left is like. Oh, they just pronouns like grammar exists. They've been around forever. It's like no. Uh, Pronouns exist, and I'm okay with pronouns. Preferred pronouns means you're denying reality, and I don't want to deny reality. You putting in preferred pronouns is basically saying you have to adhere to us denying reality and be okay with that. And like, so just even the simple act of adding preferred pronouns into that is like forcing a step into like over the line, even if it's just like it's a simple thing. But
Yeah.
like just that one act, it's like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not gonna play Starfield. I refuse. And now you can't even mod that. Like the Nexus mods, which I've used Nexus mods. I've modded the shit out of Battlefront 2 and even added my own Cara Dune character. I had her commissioned to be made. So Nexus
Oh, that's
mods,
cool.
great. But if they're gonna refuse mods because it removes pronouns, like why the fuck do you even care? So you clearly care.
Yeah.
They know that they're slowly making advancements in adding this shit into being accepted. And like I don't ever want to accept it. And they're I mean the fact that they're trying to pass laws to make it a felony to misgender someone or uh not use their pronouns, which I saw a video today. They're like, every time a conservative gets upset about pronouns, we add another 100 pronouns. You know, they're doing it to troll us.
Yeah.
And they're not just trolling it, they're trying to add it into law and they're doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like we're at this point. Like, I agree with you. Bitching about Starfield isn't actually doing as much as calling your representatives and being like, take those fucking bills off, or I'm gonna spend every energy that I have into getting you removed. But that's not what you're doing. You have 25 hours into Starfield instead of 25 hours that could have been spent rallying people to stop the shit from going into schools, right? So it's like play
True.
games, or like I get a lot of posts about like games are for kids. It's like, you know what? That may be true. Games are for kids. Like I am an adult and I love playing games. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't I find it hard to play and enjoy games with this shit ringing in my head that like I could be spending time fighting this shit, fighting this ideology, talking about it more, doing what I can to stop this tide of preferred compelled speech bullshit that's infecting everything. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing about what Az was doing. His rant was the match that was lit that caused that was built on this massive pile of uh, tinder that was ready to ignite from the movies, the shows, the games, the comics, everything that Az does for a living. Like he talks about all this shit. So it
Mhm.
wasn't just Starfield. It was literally everything. It's almost like every different company out there, every different Hollywood company, everything, whatever. Name one. All that. All of them decided all at once that we're gonna like make a girl boss. We're gonna throw a trans person in there. And it's like everywhere all at once. Everyone just like decided to do this. So it's like just everywhere. Like, and the ESG and like that whole thing, that BlackRock even talking about how we gotta like force ideology. We have to force change in people's minds. Like this shit, it's all interconnected. So I think fighting against Starfield is 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 sending a message to game companies, but it's like I don't think any of these are not worthy fights. I think fighting against Starfield, fighting against the ideology in video games is the same as fighting against this ideology in movies, and it's the same as fighting against it in politics and preferred speech laws in Canada. Like that shit's going on. Jordan Peterson never stops about it. And I don't blame him because compelled speech is like the anti-freedom. Anti-freedom. Freedom of speech doesn't exist if you can't misgender someone. Being offended, like be offended. Who fucking gives a shit? Hate speech is a lie. Hate speech is just subjective of who's viewing the speech and who pisses it off versus who it doesn't. It's
Right.
just words. If you're calling for violence, that's something different.
Yeah.
Okay? Call like actually saying like I'm going to go hurt you, like that's something different than just words. Like calling someone a bad word. I don't want to just like start spewing bad words that are examples, but like,
Yeah.
who fucking cares? That just means you have thin skin. If they're coming to attack you, that's actually assault. Like
Right.
assault and battery, right? Battery is when they physically hit someone.
Yeah.
Assault is the verbal act of saying I'm going to do this to you. And like that's a threat. Like
Mhm.
saying like you're not a tree, all right? Tree self, Get out of here. All right. You're a girl. You were born a girl. Stop it. You obviously have mental issues. They would look at that as violence, but that's not violence. And that's what they're trying to force. And I said this so many times. It has nothing to do with preferred pronouns. It has everything to do with a population of people that are allowed to say whatever they want. All right. Freedom of speech. They need to get rid of freedom of speech and they need to get rid of freedom of guns in America because America is like a beacon of freedom on this planet. And like, fuck all the people that call me a traitor for moving to Sweden. It's like, I'm still very much American and I still very much want America to continue thriving, continue being that beacon of freedom. I can fight for America no matter where I am. All right. And I deal with this all the time. People call me a traitor. And it's like, bitch, I'm more patriotic than a lot of Americans. All right. I don't
That's
have to be
weird.
in America to be patriotic and love America. Like, go
Right.
fuck off. Fuck right off.
Right. Well, here's a
Anyway.
question for you. Like, so, and I agree with like almost everything you said. There's no doubt about it, I think and where I just start and where I start asking questions, and it's just me asking questions because I'm curious about what people's answers are, and
Yep.
also like maybe we're missing something, right? So if and I think a few people have mentioned it and talked about it, but if even if this stuff is being put into games and with nefarious purpose, in regards to ESG and stuff, we've come to the conclusion, or data has shown that like violence violence in video games and movies and media doesn't necessarily make violent criminals.
No, it
So
doesn't.
do we apply the same logic to the use of pronouns and like this like woke dialogue? Because from where I sit, it seems very similar in that if if a video game or a movie is going to convince a young adult to transition, or a younger kid to transition, has that battle already been lost? Was there stuff already way wrong with them, and that wasn't necessarily going to be the thing that would change them? It just happened to be the last thing that they looked at. There's far more issues at play than they played this video game. The next thing that happened was they asked for gender affirming care.
You're missing so much though, because there's a difference between seeing violence in a video game, and then also having like your teachers telling you that you could be gay, or if you
Which
are
I'm
feeling,
against.
if you're feeling a certain like feminine as a boy, then you're a
Yeah.
girl and you should cut your dick and get balls off
Mhm.
and get tits, and like you're actually a woman. It's like it's not just in the movies. It's in the movies and everywhere else, and like all around you, and being allowed, and like these pride parades with like gay men dancing with their dicks whipping around in front of children, these
Right.
drag queens reading in front of kids, and these books that are being put in schools, and it is so much. It isn't just represented in a movie, right, or in a video game. It's everywhere. It's in every facet of everything. The
Right.
pride, you can't walk down the street without seeing pride flags everywhere. It's like
Right.
this shit it's like ever present. So that you can't even compare the two. That
Well,
they're not the same.
well, yeah, but I guess you'd have to make the comparison within games, because I do believe I'm
You
against
can't.
I'm against that
You
stuff
can't.
in
You can't. No, you
classrooms.
can't. You can't make that comparison, because in classrooms, the teachers aren't saying to be violent, or to like, they're not talking about violence in I don't even know how the comparison would be made, because
Well, could you argue that violence is represented exponentially more in media, movies, and even like music? Like they talk about it, um,
yeah, and look at the violence that America's going through. Like, it's
but
insane. People are
not as a
people.
product of that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's all being allowed from one source. The Democrats, the blue states, the blue cities are they love the violence. They love the trans. I think they want people to kill each other, and they want people to not be able to procreate anymore. I think they're okay with all of this being uh normalized. Like, by all means, cut your dick off. That means like this, you're not going to be able to procreate in the future, or kill each other. By all means, these people are all sitting in the elites, taking money from big pharma or Raytheon or whatever military industrial complex, not giving a shit about the plebs. That's how they look at everyone. And I think this is all just a movement to just maintain control. Like, oh yeah, by all means, let the violence. Who gives a shit? They're letting murderers out, and then if citizens stand up and fight against someone who would have killed somebody, they're the ones who get locked up, not the murderers and rioters. Like, we're seeing this constantly. It's a demoralization that's happening across the whole fabric of society. So fighting any of the battles that are in this against any one of these pushes, I think is fine and is
Yeah.
valid. And that's
What?
like, so fighting against Starfield and being like, I'm not going to play Starfield because, like, fuck all that shit, is saying, I'm going to draw this line in the sand and I'm not going to cross it.
Right.
Period. And I don't blame people. And also, on that same, I don't care that you're playing Starfield. Like, it doesn't
Right.
bother me.
Right.
It's like, I've been vegan for about 6 years. I don't talk about it because I'm not an annoying ass vegan who tries to force their ideology on other people. Like,
Yeah.
I do it for me. I don't do it for anyone else. I eat eggs now, so technically I'm not vegan, so whatever, but I don't eat meat and I don't consume dairy, although I don't know, I don't think dairy is good for you for a lot of reasons, but it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to push my shit on anyone else. I'm not trying to push it on kids. And like, that's how we should be. Be like, look, if you want to be trans, I don't give a fuck. You can be trans, but you
Yeah.
can't be upset if someone other than yourself doesn't believe you and doesn't like that calls you. If you're a man that says you're a girl, if someone, excuse me, if someone looks at you and says, you're a man, you can't be upset. Who fucking gives a shit? Why do you care? You can't
Right.
force it. You have to be okay with other people not accepting you for who you are because that will always happen. There's people who don't accept me for who I am. I don't fucking care. We have to
Filthy
have
vegan.
that. Yeah, who gives a shit, right? I don't care. I've been called that before and I don't care. Like, there needs to be that kind of energy where, like, you need, they don't have thick skin. They need to understand that other people's validation means nothing. Your own validation is all that matters. All right. And these people are going after kids to validate themselves. They're convincing these kids, oh, yeah, this is normal. And then the kids are like, yeah, you're great. They're like, oh, I'm now validated finally. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it's the thing is like
Dude,
I
it's
guess
Marxism. It's Marxist communistic bullshit trying to dismember the freaking fabric of society because society is strong. And when society is weak, it's easy to control. If you take all the strong men and de-alphatize them, essentially, make it so that the men won't fight, then it's easy to conquer. All right, that's what they're doing. They're injecting everyone with soy. They're this freaking emasculating men. It's okay to wear a dress. Cut your dick off. Like, men need to cry, and it's like, look, yeah, I've cried in my life, but uh, and like, who fucking gives a shit? A man is supposed to lead. Like, men are supposed to protect women. Like, we are. That's what our jobs are, and they don't want that. No, girl boss. Like, girls are the new men, and it's like, what the fuck is this? They're trying to just confuse everyone and take everything away. And sorry, it frustrates me. I'm there's so many issues that are all connected to pronouns being put in the title of Starfield, that it isn't just simple as saying, "Yeah, I'm okay with it. Whatever. It's just pronouns. It's just pronouns." But then why do they care so much? Why are they fighting anyone who is upset with it? Why is Nexus Mods banning anyone that makes a mod that just simply removes the pronouns? Who fucking gives a shit?
here's a question
Why?
for you. I
Go ahead.
asked this question on side scrollers, and
Mhm.
I'll ask you.
'Kay.
What is the difference between Nexus refusing to allow a mod that gets rid of pronouns, and the baker that doesn't want to bake a cake for the gay couple, which most people have defended?
I there isn't any. Like, I will happily find a different mod source, and like, it's the energy that they're putting out there. Like, haha, the same people that are on Nexus banning it are the ones that were furious that the baker wouldn't bake for them,
Right.
right? So like, why are they okay with banning people against their what they want, but then upset the baker for not baking? right?
Right.
Like they're the ones who were upset about it. And
Yeah.
like I don't care if the baker bakes it or not. Like I don't give a shit. Like that's the whatever. Oh, Nexus, you want to not do it? Well, you're a fucking joke. I'm not going to use Nexus anymore. I'm not calling for Nexus to be sued. I'm not calling for Nexus to be destroyed and deleted off the internet. I don't give a fuck. But I'm calling out the hypocrisy of those same people that are celebrating Nexus fighting their battles with them. Like, ha, we got Nexus on our side, bitches.
Right.
Preferred pronouns are here to stay. Ha. You
Yeah.
know, they're now and then they're the ones who are like, fuck this baker. This baker should rot in prison because they're not, making a gay cake. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, like, which side are you on? What do you want? You want them to choose what they can do or not?
Right.
Like for me, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I said it. Like Nexus can go fuck itself. I'm never gonna use Nexus again because of that stupid bullshit. I already was against Nexus because of the Spider-Man flag shit. Like
Right.
all it did was turn the pride flags into American flags. Like who cares? You're
Yeah.
not playing the game. You're not even gonna see the game. Like this is what I
Yeah.
don't understand. The people that are fighting against this shit, they will never see these things.
Right. Well, it's funny too because it's one of those things that I like the pride flags in Spider-Man. Like it's
Yeah.
probably something I would never notice. Like it's just me, I mean, seeing it's kind of like it's a big eye roll or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's one of those things I probably don't really notice all that much. And even the pronoun thing, like I noticed it and laughed at it, but at the end of the day, I was just like me. The more egregious thing is how bad the dialogue is in the game. The dialogue
What
in
in
the game is,
Starfield?
oh my god, it's like
Hold on, you said something really important right there. If I saw it, that's a big eye roll. But then, like, whatever. Like, that's what they want. But whatever. No, no, no. I don't want to play a game and eye roll. I don't want to be. I don't want to be suddenly going, "Oh my god, someone injected this shit into the game." It kills movies for me. It kills TV shows for me. It kills games for me. I don't want to do that. When I want to play
well,
a game, I want to play a game and forget the world. It's called.
right,
That's what games are for. Escapism. It's basically like reading a book, but you get to actually be in this world and control a character in the world.
right,
Like that's amazing. Like I love that. I want to be that character. I don't want to have like the fourth wall be broken down by the writers or by the developers and have all the outside politics injected into a game. And all these people that are like, oh, well, political intrigue games exist. And it's like, yeah, but it's not current day shit being pushed in. It's like political intrigue shit is great. Like Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear games, like those games are fantastic, and they have
right.
some semblance of similarities between like the real world, but it's not current day. It's not like what is present right now in the cultural zeitgeist in the battle that's happening currently. Right? There's a big difference of like forcing. See what they're trying to do is subtly change everyone who's playing these games to be okay with one side, not the other. Like everyone on this side loves this. Everyone on the other side gets pissed off. But if you get pissed off, you're a bigot, you're anti this, you're whatever, you're a phobic, whatever. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah,
no! I just don't want to. I don't want to have this shit just bombard me every time I do something.
and here's where I think this is the hard solution part of it, right? And this is why having kids is so damn hard. But and when people say to me, I don't want to have kids because of the world I bring them into, the real unfortunate answer to that is the only way you're going to change the world that you hate is to have kids and raise good people to take the place of these like ideologues. It's the
Hold on, I got
only
something
way.
for that. Fucking right.
That's the only
No,
way.
you're absolutely right. 100%. And I said it earlier. These people that we don't want to procreate, that are crazy and mentally and trying to force their shit, they're literally cutting their dicks off and ripping their uteruses out. And so, like, they will not be able to procreate, which is
Yeah.
sad. And I don't
Mhm.
think they're realizing it. Oh, well, I'm
Well,
happy now. No, you think you're happy. You think that you're happy right now. But in 50 years, you're going to be miserable. And by the way, 50 years from now, you'll still be a patient for Big Pharma. They locked you in for life.
yeah,
Good shit. Good
that's
riddance.
the saddest part is that people don't realize, like, with vaginoplasty, I've spoken with someone who's had it, and as of now they seem really happy and they seem fine with it. But like you're a lifelong big pharma patient at that point, and
Yep.
that's what people don't quite understand. It's not like you fold it in and it's ready to go. You're talking about managing an open wound for the rest of your life, which, you know, as disgusting as that is, it's what it is. And there's plenty
Yep.
of horror stories out there that people should consider. But you know, that's, I mean, the hardest part of this right now is that we're at the inflection point of the culture war where this is taking place. The way around it is to have kids, raise good kids. And that, again, it's that becomes the balancing act. Like I said, you're raising kids is like trying to hit a curveball off your back foot, like over and over and over again. And while you're doing that, you need to create this bond, this trusting bond where your kids can come to you, because the first 6 years of their life, you're with them a lot. And after that, 8 hours a day in the public indoctrination camps, unless you homeschool. But that's not the case for everybody. Even in private schools, you got to worry about it.
Or leave America.
Or leave America, you know, and that's not a realistic situation for most people.
No, I know, it's true.
But the realistic solution to this is be present in your kid's life, love your spouse,
100%.
like, you know, to the fullest they can. Show your kids what real love is. Create a trusting bond, so when hard things come up and things come up that they don't understand, they will come to you for questions. And if you can't do that, you will lose. You will absolutely lose this culture war. And nobody likes that solution, because you can't legislate that. You can't legislate the nuclear family. You can't legislate
Facts.
Keeping people together and loving someone and choosing a partner who you identify with, who you share values with. It can't be done. So
Facts.
They don't like that. And it's too hard and blah. Like, no, that's the way of life. And we knew that until 10 years ago.
Right. How do we like instill that? Because you're at 100% right. You cannot legislate how important a nuclear family is, especially when we have, you know, the welfare system and like all these reasons why the people who want to take advantage of the system to not be in a nuclear family. Like, we're incentivizing, the American government is incentivizing people to not be in the nuclear family. But we know that not a fatherless home, you're like 80% more likely to do drugs, to fall into prison, to do all, like, to go down a path that is not good, you know, whereas the invert, like a motherless home is almost the same as being in a nuclear family. It's kind of crazy when you look at the statistics. Being in the father's home is so different. So, like, fatherlessness is one of the, if not the number one cause of problems in society. Like, if we got rid of fatherlessness, but you can't legislate that, you know, but we need to somehow instill it. And how do we do that? We raise children to know what a good relationship is, to actually so, like, you know what that instills in the children, right? When you are showing them and being a part of their lives, you validate them so they don't need to seek an outside source for validation. That's a huge issue too. These people are like, they're like, my parents hate me. I don't get the love that I feel like I need. And at the same time, they have this little fucking devil on their shoulder going, yes, you don't need your family. I'll be your family. I'll love bomb you into my ideology. That's what these teachers are doing. That's what these, like, that fucking Jeffrey Marsh dickhead that wears makeup and, like, he's like a super creepy TikTok guy who's like, I'll be your family. Like, DM me. Like, holy shit, you're the biggest fucking groomer pedo obviously out there. The Dylan Mulvaney's, like, all these people are trying to convince them that they need validation from these sources, but not from the parents. The only validation that you should need is from your parents. As soon as your family and your when I got my validation from my family. So I don't need it from others. I don't need it from the internet. I don't need it from anything. I'm very comfortable, confident in my own skin. I validate me. No one else does. You can't teach that. You can't, and you can't legislate that either. The ability to, like, uh get validation from your parents so that you don't need it online. And, like, then you think about social media, the addiction to likes and the addiction to going viral, like, that's what motivates a lot of these children out there, instead of just being happy being themselves and not giving a shit if they go viral. Like, I could probably be a lot more successful if I actually cared to go viral, or if I cared to get the likes, or wanting to be famous. Like, I don't have a desire to be famous. I want to be successful for so that when I have kids, I can give them a life. Like that's actually my new motivation. And
Yeah.
that's actually helping me a lot because I never had this desire because I'm comfortable being me. I'm happy. Like I don't need anything.
Hmm.
But there's clearly people out there that need validation to the point that they're willing to legislate forcing you to validate them. Like,
Yeah.
that's insane. Like,
Yep.
that's where we're getting to this point where it's like, okay, we need to stop it and not give any ground. Jordan Peterson said in Joe Rogan, like, you give them 2 inches, they will take a mile,
Yeah.
and you are not getting that mile back. You can never go that far back. So that's why I think fighting the pronouns, not allowing it, saying I'm drawing a line in the sand. It's like I'm not going to give you that inch. I'm not even going to give you that inch. No, I'm done giving inches. I'm done giving anything. I refuse. I'm not going to do it. As soon as I see it, I can't play Destiny anymore. You know why? Because you play the game. You know how
Yeah.
much the non-binary dickhead. I can't fucking stand that dude. He's so annoying.
Oh,
Like Witch
Nimbus.
Queen.
Yeah.
Nimbus, yes. Dude, like, Witch Queen was amazing. They went from and I wasn't pulled out at all. It was, like, full escapism. I would definitely fell into the world of Destiny. It was fantastic, and then boom, not Lightfall. Yeah, Lightfall. Lightfall came out, and then everyone was gay and this and that. They're like it was more like, who isn't gay in freaking Destiny 2 now, right? Just my character. Everyone else is either gay or non-binary or something. It's like that's not even a reflection of the real world. Like
Yeah.
that's like men in the real world are the fighters. They are the ones who would be out in the battlefields fighting. Division 2, I love it. But I'm so frustrated with it because all of the fucking girl bosses, like, sorry, Division, in a post-apocalyptic world, most of the gangs wouldn't be run by women. And you
Yeah.
notice that most of them are. It's all these women that are running everything. It's like, nah, no. If the society fell, guess what? Men are taking control and women are okay with it because
Yep.
they're the ones who are going to be fighting and dying, getting cut, getting killed, being out there fighting. The women don't want that.
Right.
They're going to be the first ones that can be like, "Yep, go ahead, go fight for us. We're fine with it."
Yeah.
Right? And like they don't want to admit that, but that's the truth. It's like
Yeah.
Division, like Ubisoft, like, come on, I want to like Division. I really want to play it. I really enjoyed Division 1 a lot, and I didn't get that vibe, but Division 2, holy shit, is that shit thick. And it's in every game. That's why
Yeah.
I don't blame Az at all. It's like it's ever present in everything. Like, no. Women don't need men anymore. It's like bullshit. No. Men need women as much as women need men. Like, that line that women don't need men anymore is such a fucking lie, designed straight at the nuclear family that you said is
Right.
the most important thing. We can't legislate it. Know what we can do? We can fight against the ideology that shits on the nuclear family. Like, anytime I see girl boss, girls don't need no man anymore. Snow White, this fucking Rachel Ziegler asshole, like,
Oh
saying
my
like
God.
she don't need no man, she don't need no true love. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, yes, you're lucky that your parents fell in love, or hopefully if they were lucky enough to fall in love and produce you entitled brat. Like, thank a straight couple for your existence. Like, people don't they're like they don't get the selfishness and the entitlement in the society today is just, it's just fucking pissing me off, dude.
Well, it's unfortunate because it's a clear dismissal of reality. And one of the most
Facts.
unfortunate examples of this is it's a great game with great game mechanics that the Horizon game, like, I mean, the game systems in that are awesome. Gameplay is fluid, the
Mhm.
art's great, the environments are so good, but every guy in that game either gets killed immediately or they're this wet sponge like thimp thing that, like, you're just like, this is not how, like, a real post-apocalyptic world that
Mhm.
goes back to tribe tribal times. Like
Yep.
that's not what's going to happen. The women are the
Exactly.
nurturers. Like
Yep.
like and you won't know this until you have kids, but women, when they're pregnant, when they're about to give birth, when they just give birth, you've never seen such a nurturing, like, thing in your life. Every bit of their heart and soul, blood, sweat, tears has been literally poured into that thing. And there's no greater bond than a mother and her newborn child, especially a mother and their newborn son. Like your last true love, your like a mom and her son is like the most magical thing you'll ever witness. And they're just tossing that out as if it were like really a disposable thing. Where like, no, that's how the world procreates. And it's unfortunate that, like, again, a game like that, I haven't been able to finish Forbidden West for like that reason, because it was so heavy-handed. The first one was fine. The second one was like every single guy you come across, no muscle definition, just like, but all the women are like, they take on these masculine, like jacked traits, and they're just talking down to everybody. And I'm like, I just don't think this is how it would work. Like,
No,
not
it
even
wouldn't.
close.
It's not. I can't play those games anymore. I can't. It's just it doesn't allow me to get into the game. It just makes me think about that the entire time. Like Division 2 is like it's just nonstop. I was playing it for like a month now, and I'm just like I sit back and look at it. I'm like, dude, I just yell girl boss every time, like, oh, we got to take this person out. And then you hear him on the radio and it's like, it's this girl, like, I told you fuckers to like take care of it. I guess I'll do it myself. And it's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
how are like in the post apocalyptic world, like the women are the strong, like, leaders. And I'm not saying that women can't be leaders. I'm not saying that women can't be
Right.
strong, but like,
Yeah.
if 85% of the gangs roaming around in this post-apocalyptic world are just women, and like the men are just sitting on the sideline, like that's it's not really how it would work. I'm sorry, that there's
Yep.
a reason that men do most of the graping, in the world, because they're the stronger ones. They're the ones that, and those guys are all assholes. But it's it's just it's a weird. Thank you, King said it's just a statistically improbable. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's just not
Well,
how it would be. It doesn't make sense.
yeah, we're all just in states of extreme, um in extreme circumstances, we're going to default to our basic roles. And our roles were, as a man, to provide and protect our family, because we're larger for the most part. There are women who are larger than men and stronger than men, of course, but for the most
Statistically
part.
speaking, though, men are
Right.
larger. Men
Yeah.
men also have different bone structures.
Hmm.
Women's hips are shaped at a different angle to allow a baby to pass through. Like
Yep.
there are fundamental differences, between men and women that for some reason reality is being ignored by science, by the scientists and school teachers, biologists, like all this shit. And it's like we're just supposed to accept that like it's 1984. The sky is not green. It's fucking blue. All right. It's not green. There are 4 lights, not 5. It's the same thing to get you to deny reality. So every step, like that's what I said. I'm done giving that. Draw a line in the sand, and we all need to understand that, like, the more it's okay to just take one step over. They're redrawing the line every time you take a step. Like, all right, cool. This is the new line. All right, so like, what's stepping over the line a little bit? It doesn't matter. Oh, we'll redraw the line. Now you just stepped over. So like we're just gonna keep the line ahead of you wherever you're standing. But the line is only moving in one direction, and that's towards what they want, not towards reality.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to like I want any specific thing other than to people to just accept reality. And
Yeah.
they don't want to accept reality. I'm a very logical based person. I
Yeah.
follow the logic. That tends to be how I come to conclusions on different subjects and things, logically based. They want to deny it. They want to make logic illegal. It seems, it feels like.
Yeah. No, it's a hard place to be in the world right now, and I think the only reason I push back the way I do and ask the questions that I do is, well, to satisfy my own curiosities of where people are mentally. But
Hmm.
I'm with you, and I don't want anyone to mistake my questions or my pushback as a reason that you should not stand for what you believe in. I believe that I believe a certain thing. I think that there's other big battles we really really need to fight. Um, but that doesn't mean that Az can't be passionate about it. You can't be passionate about it. Dan can't be passionate about it. It doesn't matter. Like it, as we've said, I am, and you and I are more in like the libertarian side of things. Like I want people to be able to live their life how they feel that is best for them. I want to keep government out of my life as much as possible. And
Hmm.
I was talking to someone recently about, and I agree with them that really the only function, one of the only functions that the federal government should have is to protect our borders. And beyond that, with a strong military, and beyond that, like leave it to the states to decide how we can live our lives. And and I don't know what the real answer is, but I just want to be able to have the conversation when I need to. But I want you to fight your battles when you want to, and I might just bring a different perspective that you didn't think of. Adam does a great job with that, and you know, thank you for the conversation today, Adam. It's a long time coming that we've been able to to get to sit down one on one. You're a busy guy and doing your own thing, but yeah, I think the main part of the show we're going to sort of end here. Is a great place to end, and we are going to do a little segment for people who are subscribers on Locals. You'll be able to check that out once we finish. But Adam, like I said, thank you for joining me here today. Is there what do you have going on? Talk to people about what's coming up for you.
Sure. Well, Base F Monday is every Monday with a fantastic group of also YouTuber streamers that all join me. We got Quarter Black Garrett, Darth Call, Georgia Giant Slayer, Andreas Exertus, and oh my gosh, who am I missing? Flodzilla. And
Fluzzo.
we have a blast every Monday night. Tuesday night, which is later on tonight, Georgia Giant Slayer joins me on Tuesday Titans, where we talk much more political. Now I'm going to restart my daily show. So tomorrow night will be my first time back as just solo, just me talking about stuff. I'm going to be getting back into space things and just talking about different subjects. I don't know how long I'll go, but I'll probably do about 3 segments every day. So I will be back on my daily show over on my channel, The Crigler Show, both on Rumble and YouTube. Sunday nights, Forbidden Frontier is a show that I started. Oh wow, I don't even remember, like 6 or 7 months ago with Gary from Nerdrotic and Quarter Black Garrett, where we talk about ancient civilizations, ancient apocalypses, UFOs, just the Forbidden Frontier. And the title really is fitting, where we just kind of love to go where you know pseudoscience meets fringe realities of conversations you're not supposed to be having, and it is a lot of fun. Every Wednesday, I join Side Scrollers. About 6 p.m., 12 Eastern time, so
Mhm.
noon Eastern time. Side Scrollers is live every day, Monday through Friday. Definitely go check them out. But I join on Wednesdays, and so that would be tomorrow. I'll be joining them, and then I also do a game stream. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to continue the game stream. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what is the best flow as far as me making videos to getting ready to do live streams. But I have been streaming Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time uh, on my Rumble and Locals channel. And then Friday nights, I go live on Locals only to do some jam. So I play music. I got a guitar behind me. I've been playing music for about 22 years, singing and playing guitar. I got a lot of different songs, and people seem to really like them. And I have been toying with the idea of making an album. I actually have an album that I created. I have it right here. I have about 20 discs left.
Man.
This is my first album. It's just a demo that I made a long time ago. But I do have some songs, and I think I might actually release this online digitally, and just to get it out there and just to say, you know what, I did this so long ago. Why wouldn't I put this out there? So I am working on that. So yeah, thanks for having me on, Shags. You're right. It's been too long since we've just sat and had a one-on-one. I got
Yeah.
to come back on the midweek hump. I know it's a little late for me because I've been waking up early, like
Yeah.
10 a.m. for me, which is, I don't know, 4 a.m. Eastern time for everyone there. So
Yeah.
uh, I used to be up late, and I'm gonna basically try to do my show and go to sleep right after my show. Not maybe not directly after, so I'm not like falling asleep during my show because I don't want to be tired. Because when you're doing a show like this, especially by yourself, you're like talking about subjects. You're making connections in your brain, stream of consciousness, talking about things the way things are connected, bringing back other subjects to kind of link them up. And I don't know if you're tired and falling asleep, it's kind of harder to do that. So
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out my schedule, my flow, but you know, I'm doing it. I'm gonna get it going. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Busy man. So make sure you guys check him out. Got some links down in the description. Wherever you're watching, you'll have those links, or listening, you'll be able to have those links for you. Check out Adam's stuff. He's a great dude. He has always looked out for us little guys. He's been a big part of a lot of people's growth over the past couple of years, and helping us, sort of establish ourselves online. So to that end, thank you, but also just thank you for being a pal, being cool. There was a 199 super chat earlier that said, Adam is a good friend, been there for me, be blessed, from Steel Leg of History. So
Cheers, Robert.
The no, man, thank you, chat. You guys are awesome for hanging out. We started a little bit earlier today, because Adam had some stuff planned, and actually I have a lot of work to do, but we're going to do a quick recording over for our locals channel. So make sure you guys click the link down below, become a member over there. We'll see you guys next time. Love you. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.